Hyderabad, and Delhi Law University, Delhi National Law University, Delhi. And he was a member of Sri Krishna Commission, which was constituted for understanding the problems of Andhra Pradesh and the demand of Telangana. I welcome Prof.Ranbir Singh Garu for DSNLU and Prof.G.Mohan Gopal, a well-known legal luminary, second Vice-Chancellor of National Law University, Bengaluru, National Law School of India University, Bengaluru, and he is former Director, National Judicial Academy, Bhopal, and he is well known for his critical thought and expert opinions. We can find valuable speeches of Mohan Gopal in the website. I welcome Professor G. Mohan Gopal Garu. Prof.Mrinal Satish, Professor and Dean Research, National Law University of Bengaluru. So he is an expert in criminal law and he is the product of Yale University. And I welcome a great privilege that all the legal luminaries at a time came to our Damodaram Sanjivayya National University for a particular specific function to be discharged. Then I requested them, sir, you please address and interact with our students. They readily accepted my request and now they are ready to interact with the students. Thank you very much. Without having waste of my time, your time, I am giving the proceedings to student friends.
Good, sir. I would now like to take a moment to briefly introduce our esteemed keynote speakers. Starting with you, Professor Ranbir Singh. Sir, we are deeply honored to have you, a pioneering academician and visionary in legal education, as a keynote speaker today. Professor Singh is the founding Vice-Chancellor of National Law University, Delhi, Hyderabad, where his leadership transformed both institutions into leading centers of legal education. His contributions extend beyond academia through his involvement in national and international organizations, including representing India at the United Nations Human Rights New Police Act. Professor Singh's work in areas like jurisprudence, human rights, and constitutional law continues to shape legal thought and policy. We eagerly look forward to listen to his valuable insights on the challenges facing legal education and profession today. We are so thankful to have you here, sir.
Beg your pardon. Is it easy to get admission in NLSIU? No, sir, it's not easy. It is not easy to get admitted in an NLU, but sir, it does help. Sir, it does help in making sure that education is much more accessible to the people, sir, in a subsidized manner, to say the least.
At least 70,000 students a year.
Yes.
So where is the easy access?
Sir, obviously, sir, the merit will be sorted out in the process of examination. However, this very institution, having 26 national universities at first place, helps people to reach to the best of the best places.
How many institutions are there teaching law in the country?
Sir, as far as I know about NLUs, there are currently 20.
No, not that. Overall.
Sir, I am not aware.
What is the landscape of legal education institutions?
Sir, I am unaware of the numbers.
Anybody else? We have of which 250 are the law faculties in the university and roughly 25 law schools. And the biggest transformation have been in the 1980s, in spite of the fact that we have best of law faculties in the university like Lucknow or Chandigarh or Osmania or Madras, there were about 40, 45, 50 law faculties. Those were very good and best of teachers. But the scene was that the people, those who came to study law, they came to study law not by choice. Majority of them, mainly of them, came to study law. They did not get admission into some embassy or somewhere else, and they thought, chalo law kar lete hain. So they came by chance, not by choice. But after 1980s, in the early 90s, as you said, when the law school was established, so you find that over the years, about last 30 years now, Mrinal?
Nearly 40.
40 years now, things have changed. And the things what have changed is that now the students, those who come to study law, their first choice is the law universities or the law schools. At about more than 70,000 students appear. For Delhi, about 30,000 students appear. And there are other institutions which students appear in SAT, right? So that means now today, over the years, legal education has acquired a lot of importance, and students now do not come by chance, but come by choice. And when I say they come by choice, I have a story to share with you. One girl student, Rangashri, from Bangalore, came to at NLU Delhi and came with the father and said, "Sir, we want to discuss something with you." I said, "Okay, tell me." The girl said, "I have qualified IIT Madras. I have qualified Stephens. I have qualified CLAT. I'm the 5th ranker. I can go to Bangalore, and I have qualified IILM now. I can join NLU Delhi." And she asked me, "Tell me, what should I do?" What should she do according to you? क्या करना चाहिए उसको? When you have such a brilliant student who aspires to come to a law school, leaving all the best of institutions, that is coming by choice. What she must have done? Anybody? I said to them that if you have come to me, that I will say that you join NLU Delhi, I'm not going to do it. You make your own choice, go see the institutions, meet the students, meet the faculty, and then finally decide where you want to go. And said we can meet after a week, because still there is time. So she came to me after a week, and when I saw them sitting in front of my office in the lounge, I smiled at them and said, "You must have decided not to join me." They said, "No, sir, we'll disappoint you." I said, "Okay, come inside." And when we discussed, I said, "Why you want to join Delhi?" He said, my choice is being at Delhi, that apart from that I'll concentrate on my law studies, I want to come in civil services. My aim is IFS. I said, "Are you so sure?" She said, "Yes, sir." Then I said, "I do one thing. I will save your phone number." And I saved her phone number, name, and in front of that I wrote, "Rangashiri, IAS." Now you have to fulfill the expectations of the teacher, since you are very sure that you want to come to Delhi to join civil services. And after, she was a very good student, and she also went to London for 6 months internship. She was invited there. And when she appeared in the first chance, she failed in prelims. Second chance she passed, but then she got Class B services, like security services. And then she was very desperate, and she said, she phoned me from Bangalore, "Sir, I don't want to appear again. My marks in interview were very bad. I don't want to come appear again." I said, "Take one more chance. No harm. This time work hard again and appear in the examination." She appeared, and believe me, she came in IFS. And when this G20 happened, she phoned me, "Sir, I'm in Delhi, but I'm so busy I will not be able to see you." I said, "Why, Rangashri?" She said, "I'm a part of the delegation from Beijing, and the delegation has come, and I have to do lot of arrangements and also collaborations with other people. So next time when I come, I will meet you. Now that is what the commitment to what you want to do in life. So the first lesson is that when you join a law school, you must be sure what you want to do in life. And you know it's a very prestigious profession. Why is it a prestigious profession? Why? How many doctors or engineers or managers freedom struggle? Name me. When we were fighting for the freedom of the country, how many doctors and engineers were there fighting for the freedom of the country? Who were fighting? Who were in the forefront? Huh? Who were in the forefront? Lawyers. Assembly lineage of names of those people. Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, and Sardar Patel, and then you can go on and go on. And many people sold their lands, left their jobs, and plunged into the freedom struggle of the country, and ultimately brought freedom to the country. Not only in India, even abroad. No, people like Nelson Mandela or Abraham Lincoln, there is a whole range of people, those who are responsible for bringing freedom to the country. So you are very important. As a law student, when you become a lawyer, you are very important because your contribution to the society is going to be very, very significant, right? And it is important because the kind of career options you have after you pass out from law, no other profession will provide you those options. How many of that? You can join litigation, you can go in judiciary, you can go to the corporate sector, you can go to teaching, and you can go in JAG branch, you can go to multinationals, you can come in civil services, you can come state civil services, and there are jobs in Indian legal service, like you can go to the different ministries, you can add on. There are so many jobs which are available after you pass out your LLB examination. But then the story starts with you. I have two more stories to share with you. When my first batch of LLB passed out from NLSAR, Hyderabad, two students, one SC student, one scheduled caste tribe student, they came to see me and they sat before me and started crying. I said, why, Kesav, you have passed your LLB with good marks, why should you cry? Sir, you remember when we came to see you with our parents, the father of one of them was a laborer, the father of another was a small farmer, and they said they were not entering your office because they were hesitant, and it was with great difficulty that they came inside, and you make them seated and talk to them. And after these 5 years, sir, we want to share with you that one of us has got a job in Indian Oil Corporation, and the another in the Reliance, with a salary of 80,000 and 90,000, with a flat in Bombay and a chauffeur-driven car. This amount of money our families have not seen or will not see in their entire life. This is the transformation which NLSAR Hyderabad has done to our life. Right? That's why I said the role of legal education in your life is going to be very transformative. Another example I give you, when the first batch of this, we had only 30 students, 18 boys and 16 girls. And before that, there was only law school Bangalore for 10 long years. And nobody knew NLSAR Hyderabad. And when the first batch passed out, everybody started asking, "Ye NLSAR Hyderabad kahan hai bhai? Where is this NLSAR Hyderabad?" People never knew what this NLSAR Hyderabad business is there. Why? The story was that a girl from Chennai, Aarti, got a Rhodes Fellowship. In the very first batch of a law school, a girl from Chennai got a Rhodes Fellowship. I can bet with you that you do not have any second example where the student of a first batch in any institution, not in the country, but abroad, must have got a Rhodes Fellowship. So once we got that Rhodes Fellowship, then everybody started asking, where is this NLSAR, University of Law, Hyderabad? So what is the moral of the story? Who is important? Who is important? Huh? Who is important? In all these cases, who brought name to the institution? It was the students. Maybe Kesav, maybe Rao, it may be Rangashari, it may be Aarti, Anand. They were all students. So my message to you is, what this institution will tomorrow, it's immaterial. Whether you go to Bangalore, you go to Hyderabad, or you go to Bhopal, or you go, we are not from any law school. We are from very, very ordinary institutions. For example, I can share my own life with you. I studied in my village school till my higher secondary. I never saw any convent or public school. Wrote my takhti and slate by the side of a pond. You can always work hard and rise in life. So institutions are of course important, but they are not the only thing that you cannot rise in life. There are so many examples where students from very, very ordinary families. How many of you see KBC? Kaun Banega Crorepati? The program hosted by Amitabh Bachchan at 9 o'clock. देखा करो भाई, उसमें तो वो तो knowledge की बात है. Now they try from Madhya Pradesh. A young person from scheduled tribe community is already won 25 lakhs. And where there is no school, there are no teachers, no facility, no light, and he even doesn't have a good house, no good living. Father is a small farmer, absolutely poor family. So the moral of the story is that from anywhere you can rise to be anywhere. That's very important. But that happens when I'm reminded of that story which goes in Gurgaon, sir. There's a Maruti Suzuki factory. And the story goes like this, that the story is, in fact it's a kind of a anecdote they say, that 1 Indian is equal to 10 Japanese. 1 Indian is equal to 10 Japanese, and 1 Japanese is equal to 10 Indians. How that can happen? 1 Indian is equal to 10 Japanese, and 1 Japanese is equal to 10 Indians. कैसे होगा ये? How do you solve this puzzle? How it happens? Anybody? 1 Indian is equal to 10 Japanese. India has got the second most skilled population in the world after USA. USA is all borrowed. You read. So we have a great human resource as far as India is concerned. When we travel abroad and we meet people, they are so proud to share things with us. I was in Washington a few years back, and every time the manager of the hotel will come and sit down with me and say, I said, you are so impressed by India. He said, sir, you don't understand. In America, there are 24% software personnel from Andhra Pradesh alone. Andhra Pradesh alone. And total there are almost 40% software professionals. Those who are managing the IT industry of this Silicon Valley and America. If you decide to leave this country today, the entire system of IT in USA will collapse. And that's what I'm trying to convey to you is that you are so important, right? So 1 Indian is equal to 10 Japanese. That individually we are very good. How many dozens of CEOs of the best of companies in the world are Indian? You know that. You can, even from your Hyderabad, Satya Nadella, you already know that. I have just, Vice-Chancellor says only 2 minutes. So, right? But then the difficulty with us is that we individually we are very good, but when we are supposed to work as a team, 1 Japanese is equal to 10 Indians. We have not learned to work as a team. So my lesson to you is that if this university, if you work as a team, the students, the faculty and the administrations, results would be amazing. Finally, one day my daughter asked me, she was also a law person, what are your expectations from me? I said, you are proud of me? I'm your father, I'm a Vice-Chancellor. She said, yes, I'm very proud of you. I said, do something that I introduce myself through you. Tomorrow when you become something in life, I say, I'm Manika's father. This is our ambition, you know. We believe that you overtake us. All of us, we believe that you overtake us. And there is another story. A car of a professor in Delhi University was moving around in Delhi with the sticker at the back. And the sticker read, I do not allow anybody to overtake me except my own students. We sitting here, we feel extremely pleased when we overtake us. And we are looking for the day when you overtake all of us one day because of your hard work. Best of luck. Thank you very much.
We look forward to hearing his views on the challenges faced by the legal education and the professions today. We welcome you, sir.
Very much, and my greetings to my eminent colleagues here, Prof.Ranbir Singh and Prof.Mrinal Satish, esteemed Vice-Chancellor, faculty members, and dear students. I think the topic is very overwhelming. The main challenges faced by legal education and the profession in India today. It probably requires a full day conference to discuss it. And the Vice-Chancellor is quite appropriately and ensuring that we all stay within our time. So I have another 19 minutes left to cover this topic. So I don't know where to begin, but I'd like to pick up from where Professor Ranbir Singh, one of the many wonderful things he said was he asked a very interesting question. Why is it that the lawyers had a disproportionate share of the leaders of the freedom struggle, education at all? So one thing that went through my mind is there does not seem to be a correlation between the quality of legal education and the contribution to the country. When there was no legal education, and you could become a lawyer without any formal legal education, only through apprenticeship, but they were engaged in the business of courts. They plunged into the struggles of the country and the struggles of the people to fashion the future of India. We don't find that same interest today. With thousands of people going to law colleges, engaged in the legal profession, engaged in the courts, engaged in legal education, they seem to be least interested in what happens to this country. So I'm reminded of a story an eminent educationist in Madhya Pradesh told me. Not a story, an actual incident. When I lived in Bhopal at the National Judicial Academy, he said he went to the deep remote tribal areas and he persuaded a tribe there to establish a school. They agreed. He came back to the taluk headquarters and he was sleeping in the night when at 3 o'clock in the morning there was a huge ruckus outside his room, lots of people. So he opened his door, he got out, and the entire village had come to see him at 3 o'clock in the morning. They said, after you left, we had a conference amongst ourselves and we want to withdraw our agreement that you will establish a school here. So he said, why? He said, we find that every student, every member or child in our community who goes to any school comes back to us as a member of the contractor or government or police that is attacking us. So education seems to convert members of our community to enemies of our community. So we don't want your school. You change your school education and then you come back to us and then we'll open a school. So if there's one question in these 20 minutes I want to leave in your mind, that question is, when there was no legal education, there were only wakils and informal people, there were no fancy buildings, no fancy facilities, no CLAT, no facilities. The people who are engaged in the courts of the country, in the working of the courts of the country, were as Professor Ranbir Singh said, at the forefront of shaping the future of this country. Why? To bring democracy into this country, to bring Swaraj into this country, to end feudalism in this country, to take this country forward to a new society which is described in Article 38, to bring about a social order, to secure a social order in which justice, social, economic and political shall inform all institutions of national life. They were not looking to be ICS officers, they were not looking to be successful business people, they were not looking for packages, they were not looking for money or remuneration. In fact, they were people who sacrificed their entire lives, went to jail, died. I met someone in Bhopal whose father was in the freedom struggle, and he was killed in that freedom struggle by the authorities having a bulldozer run over his head. He was a well-off professional, legal professional, no, not professional, member of the legal community. So people sacrificed, lawyers sacrificed, those who studied politics sacrificed, those who studied economics sacrificed, those who studied sociology sacrificed to build a better future for you and me. That's why we are sitting here in this hall. Are you prepared to sacrifice your lives so that 100 years from now, your children and grandchildren will have a better future in this country? I think this is a challenge facing the legal profession and the bar. What has happened in my own lifetime in this country is that those engaged in the courts were a progressive force when I was first. That's what drew me to be a lawyer. Justice Krishna Iyer was a lawyer in Kerala when I first knew him as a child, encountered him as a child. I know him as a lawyer, not as a judge. Fighting for the interests of the poor people, for human rights. He wrote judgments on the rights of prisoners. And when he was asked, he said these judgments were not written in the office rooms of the Supreme Court or the courts of the Supreme Court. These judgments were written on my heart, inscribed into my hearts, in the jails of Tellicherry, where he was put in jail for the crime of defending in court those accused of fighting against the British in what was then the Malabar district of the Madras Presidency. We were attracted by people. I was attracted into being a lawyer because to be a lawyer meant to fight for democracy, to fight for the rights of common people and the poor people. Today, that's not what it means to be a lawyer. 100,000 people are writing this exam, a very small number in a country of 150 crores or 140 crores. Most of them want a good package. I used to tell some of these students, you want to get rich? Go and rob a bank. You can be rich with not much chances of getting caught. But don't come to the legal profession if you want to be rich. Don't come to the legal profession law school if you want to be powerful. Come to the legal profession if you want to defend the powerless. If you're prepared to sacrifice your life. If not, you're abusing that opportunity. The greatest challenge facing the legal profession and the bar is the greatest challenge facing this country. And the greatest challenge facing our country is that there is no other country on earth. We may have from a small segment of people many IT professionals in many parts of the world. But there is no other country on earth where people live in such destitution as in our country. In inhuman conditions, where they don't enjoy the four fundamental values of the Constitution of liberty, equality, dignity and fraternity. It remains a distant dream for people. I was on the way talking to Prof.Mrinal Satish, who is, in my view, one of the foremost, if not the foremost, scholar of criminal law in our country today, amongst the active academicians of our country, about a new judgment of the Supreme Court in a case called Shahjan's Karia. August 23rd versus State of Kerala, where basically the Supreme Court has said that if you know that a person is a member of the scheduled caste, know fully well that he is a member of the scheduled caste, you can abuse and insult that person with intent to humiliate that person, provided you mind your language. The language should be free from, should not be laced with reference to caste. The language should not say that I am abusing you because you are a member of a scheduled caste. Mind your language. If you mind your language, then the prohibition in section 3R of the Atrocities Act, that it is a crime under the Atrocities Act to insult or intimidate a member of the scheduled caste community with intent to humiliate him, will not apply to that abuse. Even if you know he is a scheduled caste member, as long as the language, you mind the language. I was confirming with Professor Mrinal Satish that there is no other crime in this country that criminalizes humiliation. So in my view, the purpose of section 3R is to say to all of us that we should never humiliate another person, whoever he may be or she may be. Humiliate means make that person, tell that person that you are the lowest of the low. You should never humiliate another person. If that person turns out to be a member of the scheduled caste, then Atrocities Act will apply. But if you do not want, whether or not you know that person is a scheduled caste member, you should not humiliate anyone. 1989 law. And if you do, this is through this scheduled caste law, standing on the shoulder of the scheduled caste, we are trying to improve public discourse in this country. You're creating a risk that you shall not have a discourse in the risk that there shall be humiliation in the society. By creating a risk that if the person humiliated happens to be a member of the scheduled caste, then you go to jail without getting bail under the Atrocities Act, of which for crimes by non-scheduled caste against scheduled caste, there are only 4,700 cases according to the Crimes in India 2022 registered in this whole country. Hardly enforced. So instead of the Supreme Court using section 3R to improve the public discourse of this country, saying you shall not insult or intimidate with intent to humiliate in public view anyone. Because if that person, with or without your knowledge, turns out to be a scheduled caste member, then you will be committing an offense of atrocity under the Atrocities Act. Now, is this the role of a court? To find a way for people to be, find a way in which people can humiliate other people without attracting the Atrocities Act? And when this kind of a legislation comes, why is there not outrage amongst law students? Why is your conscience not stricken? Whenever conduct takes place inconsistent with constitutional values, anywhere in this country, the conscience of every law student, law teacher and legal professional must be awakened. And we are in this country, in such a dire strait of being the locus of the greatest, the largest magnitude of human suffering that the world has ever seen. Because our conscience is not stricken by the suffering of our own fellow human beings. And legal education is a means to awaken your conscience. against injustice. And if you come here and you leave after 5 years without your conscience being awakened against injustice, those 5 years have been wasted. So please reflect on this question. Why is the law classroom disconnected with injustice in our country? If it's not our business, whose business is it? It is like having a medical college classroom disconnected with COVID or epidemics or morbidity or illness. If doctors do not heal the human body, who will? If lawyers do not heal the human soul, who will? So please ponder on these questions. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share some thoughts with you.
Peace lies in areas such as sentencing, reproductive justice and criminal justice systems' interaction with marginalized communities. He has made significant Justice Verma Committee on amendments to rape laws and the Law Commission's project on the death penalty. His extensive work, including his doctoral research at Yale Law School.
Prof.Ranbir Singh, Prof.Mohan Gopal, faculty members and students. I realize that I think we have around 3 minutes more, so I'll keep my comments short. I think I'll begin with, I think, what Professor Mohan Gopal ended when you got into a law degree, so you were experienced in what's happening around you. The NLU system made that an integrated 5-year degree. I'm a product of the NLU system, so I wouldn't say it was not a good idea. But I think what we ended up also doing in the process is that we integrated the degrees, but while you're doing your BA, BSc, or whatever forms, NLS of course has had only a BA all of these years. And what was the connection of that with the law is something I think started getting lost as generations of these programs came through. Now, I, as one of the early batches at NLS, remembered how important your social sciences education was because of the fact that you got an insight into what was happening in society, what was happening around you, and what the contribution of the law could be in strengthening society and in questioning what was happening in the society. So I think one of the major challenges that we face in legal education, especially now, is the fact that we've started thinking of legal education like both Professor Ranbir Singh and Professor Mohan Gopal mentioned, in very functional terms. We're trying to see, okay, what can I get out of it, rather than what can we do in terms of working in society, with society. Now, why is it that, like again Professor Singh was mentioning, that all your freedom fighters were lawyers? One of the things is, in legal education, we are supposed to be trained that there's no one single answer to things, that you should question things, that there are definitely different points of view. But if we start thinking in a linear way, that there's only one way and one point of view, that creates its own problem. So lawyers had that advantage that they were people who stood up to laws that, say, the British brought out, saying, can you tell us where is due process in these laws? What is, how can you, where do you get the legitimacy to make laws of this nature? So you had the vocabulary to also challenge what was happening. And that is also, I believe, one of the reasons that lawyers played a very important role, because if you were to talk to say scientists, the one impression which I argue is wrong is that science is objective, right? There's only a right answer, a wrong answer, and you can't challenge the right or wrong answer. Now, of course, I say that's wrong because there's also an element of interpretation. And the moment you have any sort of interpretation, it leads to your prejudices, your biases coming in. So even in a science experiment, you might see the result in a particular way because of the manner in which you are looking at that thing. So which is why sometimes you see some of the prominent scientists, when they came up with something, were told that, no, this is not the way, right? They were booed out of halls of this nature when they tried to present new theories. So similarly, in the legal context, I think it's important for legal education and for all of us as law students and lawyers like again Professor Mohan Gopal was saying, if a judgment were to come out, and if you say that, look, there's a judgment, this is the law, and I'm going to unquestioningly take up and not critique the law, there's no one else who can do it, right? It's only lawyers and law students who can do that. But if you start thinking of it functionally, by which I mean, can I write a blog post today so that tomorrow I can get a good job out of it? Then you're going to be not working towards society, but you're going to work towards yourself. So I think that's something that we should all focus on as our responsibilities towards society, as lawyers, as law students, as legal academics. When I teach criminal law, and again I'm sure those of you who do criminal law would be familiar with the prominent English law textbooks like written by Professor Smith and Professor Hogan, Smith and Hogan's criminal law. And if you look at case law in even the 80s, 90s, even now, you see in some cases the House of Lords says that, look, we gave a judgment, and these prominent professors wrote articles saying that we got it wrong. So now I am going to respond to the professor as to why I don't think I got it wrong, right? So they write that judgment, and then the professor gets back in the next edition of the textbook saying you still got it wrong. And so there is a good debate happening where somebody is reading, or the judges are reading what the academics are writing, and then ultimately, again, I'm talking about a line of cases in the context of mens rea in criminal law, where they say, yes, of course, we think that Professor Smith actually got it right, and we were wrong all along when we interpreted in this way. Unfortunately, in the Indian context, there's been this entire divide between saying, oh, something is considered, and you see in judgments also, this is academic in nature. So therefore, we will not deal with this issue, and academic becomes a bad word rather than something that the courts should engage with, right? And that somewhere we have also failed as lawyers and legal academics in going beyond just the issue before us. As a lawyer in court, you just have, I think Professor Mohan Gopal, and when we were at the National Judicial Academy together, we would tell judges this thing that you are only looking, if you start looking at only the issue before you, which probably professionally they are required to, who's giving you the picture around you, and that's the job of the lawyer, right? Because if there's an issue before the court and you confine yourself to that very, very narrow legal issue without talking about everything that surrounds it, without talking about the impact that decision may have on the manner in which society reacts, the normative standards that you're laying down in society, that's a recipe for disaster, right? Because you will end up in situations where there's just one way of looking at things. So I think that's predominantly for us as lawyers, law students, and law teachers, the challenge that we face currently, that we should get into these, look at cases, look at legislations, right? We had an entire set of new criminal laws that came up, which came into force recently, right? So what are these laws doing? Are they making any change? Is it positive? Is it negative? Right? For instance, just I'll end with this. I think it was reported in a newspaper yesterday that after a lot of law reform, including some Supreme Court judgments, there was a lot of change made to medical syllabus in the country on the question of questions of virginity testing, on the question of LGBTQI rights, on the question of how you defined homosexuality, etc. And there was a report which came 2 days back that for some vague reason, the National Medical Council had reversed everything that was done in the last 15 years and brought back exactly the same things that people had fought for the last 15, 20 years. And then someone wrote to me a day before yesterday saying, we have to do something about this, right? How can you let the National Medical Council get away with doing something like this? And fortunately, yesterday they withdrew it, saying that this is... And again, why I'm saying this is, if this is syllabus, right, it will be taught in medical colleges. And this is considered as an interaction between law and medicine. So therefore, in medical colleges, when you teach doctors things that are literally junk science, or have nothing to do with the law, they would start accepting it, saying, oh, this is probably what the law is. So unless we go beyond, we look at these issues in a more holistic perspective, like in this situation, you would end up with a disaster of things that would impact people on a day-to-day basis, being brought out without any sort of questioning, without any sort of critique, without any sort of discussion and debate. And so I think that's where we as lawyers and law students have an important role to play, and I hope we all of us do this going forward. So thank you.
Legal remedies. It's a rare combination, in fact. Thank you, sir, Mohan Gopal, sir, and Ranbir Singh, sir, for your guiding and for your inspiration words and for your all the valuable words here, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your